Ever found yourself suddenly needing to pay for something you hadn't planned for? Life, as we all know, has a knack for throwing curveballs. One day, you're cruising along smoothly, and the next, you're hit with an unexpected car repair bill or a sudden medical emergency. These surprises can come out of nowhere, and they can pack a punch, especially when your wallet isn't ready for them. It's a jarring reminder of life's unpredictability, of the twists and turns that can catch us off guard. But here's the thing. While we can't predict these surprises, we can certainly prepare for them. Being financially prepared for these sudden expenses is not just a smart move. It's essential. It can make the difference between a minor hiccup and a major setback. So, how can you protect yourself from these unexpected costs? The answer is an emergency fund. You might be wondering, what's an emergency fund? Well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. A stash of money set aside to cover life's unexpected events. These surprises can range from an inconvenient car repair to a sudden job loss, or even an unforeseen medical expense. You see, life has a way of throwing curveballs, and while we can't predict these events, we can prepare for them. That's where the emergency fund comes in. It's a financial safety net designed to cover these surprise costs without derailing your everyday budget. Think of it as your personal financial shock absorber. It's there to soften the blow of unexpected expenses so they don't send you into a tailspin of debt. It's not about being pessimistic, but rather being prepared for whatever life throws your way. Now that we know what an emergency fund is, how do we go about creating one? Starting an emergency fund may sound daunting, but it's simpler than you think. It's a journey that begins with a single step, deciding on a realistic amount to save. This isn't about stashing away huge sums of money all at once. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's about setting a modest goal that you can comfortably achieve each month. Maybe that's $20, maybe it's $50. The key is consistency, not quantity. Once you've decided on an amount, it's time to open a dedicated savings account for your emergency fund. This is a crucial step because it separates your emergency savings from your everyday money. It's a psychological trick that helps you avoid dipping into your emergency fund for non-emergencies. Remember, this is your financial safety net. It's not for that new pair of sneakers or the latest video game. When choosing a bank for your emergency savings, look for one that offers a high-interest savings account. This way, not only are you saving money, but your money is also working for you, earning interest over time. Plus, many banks offer online and mobile banking features that make it easy to track your progress. Next, set up automatic transfers to your emergency savings account. This can usually be done online or through a mobile banking app. You can set it up so that a specific amount is automatically transferred from your checking account to your emergency savings account each month. This takes the guesswork out of saving and ensures that you're consistently adding to your emergency fund. One more thing to remember: don't be discouraged if progress seems slow at first. Building an emergency fund is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes time, but every penny saved brings you one step closer to financial security. With these steps, you've started your journey towards financial security. But how do you keep it going? Growing your emergency fund is a gradual process, but every bit counts. Think of it like nurturing a small plant. It starts off small, but with consistent care and attention, it grows into something much stronger and resilient. So, how do we make this happen? Well, the first step is to reevaluate your expenses. What are the things you're spending money on that aren't exactly necessary? Maybe it's that daily latte, or those spontaneous online shopping sprees. By cutting back on non-essential expenses, you can redirect that money into your emergency fund. Remember, it's all about prioritizing your long-term financial security over short-term pleasures. Then, consider finding ways to increase your income. This might sound daunting, but it doesn't have to be. You could sell items you no longer need, take on a part-time job, or even turn a hobby into a side hustle. The extra cash flow can be a significant boost to your emergency fund. Moreover, it's essential to regularly review and adjust your savings goal. Life is ever-changing, and your financial needs will change too. Maybe you've moved out of your parents' house, or perhaps you've started a new job with a higher income. These changes should be reflected in your emergency fund. As a rule of thumb, aim to save enough to cover 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses. And of course, automate your savings. Set up a direct deposit from your paycheck to your emergency fund. This way, you're consistently contributing without even thinking about it. It's a simple and effective way to keep your emergency fund growing steadily. Lastly, be patient. Growing an emergency fund is not an overnight success story. It's a journey that requires discipline and perseverance. But the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're prepared for unexpected expenses is worth every sacrifice. Growing your fund may take time, but remember, it's not a race, it's a marathon. But what happens when an emergency occurs? It's inevitable. An unexpected expense comes up, and it's time to use your emergency fund. Now, this is not the time to panic. It's the time to be wise. Remember, your emergency fund exists for these situations, but it's essential to use it judiciously. Let's talk about how to do that. First, ensure it's a true emergency. An emergency is not a last-minute concert ticket or a sudden craving for the latest gaming console. It's a car breakdown, a medical bill, or a sudden home repair. It's something unexpected, necessary, and urgent. It's something that, if not addressed, could lead to more significant problems down the line. Next, you'll want to determine how much to withdraw. Look at the situation objectively. What is the absolute minimum you need to take care of this emergency? Remember, the goal is not to drain your fund, but to use just enough to handle the situation effectively. Do some quick math. Factor in your other resources. Can you cover some of the costs from your regular income or savings? Now let's talk about temptation. It's easy to see that emergency fund as a convenient pool of money for non-emergencies. Resist that urge. That's not what it's there for. It's for the unexpected, the unplanned, the oh no, what now moments. Treat your emergency fund with respect. It's your financial safety net. It's the thing that stands between you and potential financial stress. So use it wisely, sparingly, and only when truly necessary. And remember, it's okay to use your emergency fund. That's what it's there for. But using it doesn't mean draining it. It means taking what you need, when you need it, and leaving the rest for future emergencies. Using your emergency fund wisely ensures it will be there when you really need it. But what do you do after you've used some of it? Well, that brings us to our next topic, rebuilding your emergency fund. But that's a conversation for another time. For now, remember, your emergency fund is there for a reason. Use it wisely, and it will serve you well. Life happens. You've had to use your emergency fund. Now, it's time to rebuild. Let's dive into some strategies to get your emergency fund back on track. First, revisit your budget. This is crucial. Sit down, take a deep breath, and look at your income and expenses afresh. Ask yourself, where can I save more? There might be subscriptions you can cancel, or perhaps you can cook at home more often to save on dining out. Remember, every little bit helps. Next, consider cutting back on expenses. If you've just experienced a financial setback, you might need to tighten your belt for a while. This could mean fewer movie nights out, or maybe even delaying a planned vacation. By making these temporary sacrifices, you'll be able to rebuild your fund much quicker. Now, what if you've done all you can to reduce expenses and there's still not enough to replenish your fund? Well, you might need to look for ways to increase your income. This could be anything from picking up a part-time job, selling items you no longer need, or even turning a hobby into a side hustle. Be creative. The goal here is to boost your income so you can contribute more to your emergency fund. Once you've adjusted your budget and boosted your income, it's time to start rebuilding. Aim to contribute as much as possible to your emergency fund each month. Even if you can only add a small amount, remember, consistency is key. Over time, these small contributions will add up and your fund will grow. Remember, rebuilding your emergency fund is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It may take time, but with patience and persistence, you'll get there. And once you do, you'll have the peace of mind knowing you're prepared for whatever life throws your way. Rebuilding your fund ensures you're always prepared for life's surprises. But can you prevent these surprises? While we can't predict life's surprises, we can certainly try to prevent some of them. Unexpected expenses always seem to pop up when you least expect them, but sometimes they're not as unexpected as we might think. With a little forethought and planning, we can anticipate some of these expenses and lessen their impact on our wallets. First up, regular preventive maintenance. This applies to everything from your car to your health. Regular checkups and tune-ups can help catch small issues before they become big, expensive problems. Think oil changes, dental cleanings, and annual physical exams. These costs might seem unnecessary in the short term, but they can save you a bundle in the long run. Next, let's talk about insurance. It's an expense that might seem like a drain on your finances, especially when you're young and healthy. But the reality is, insurance is designed to protect you from those big, unexpected costs. Health insurance, car insurance, even renter's insurance can provide a safety net when life throws a curveball your way. Now, planning ahead for known future expenses is another great way to prevent unexpected financial surprises. Are you planning to go to college? Start saving for tuition and books. Do you need a new laptop for school? Start setting aside a little money each month. Are the holidays coming up? Budget for gifts ahead of time. By planning for these expenses in advance, you can spread out the cost over time and avoid a big hit to your bank account all at once. Lastly, don't forget to keep contributing to your emergency fund. Even with all these preventive measures, life can still throw you a financial curveball. Having that safety net can help you navigate these unexpected expenses without derailing your financial goals. Prevention is always better than cure, especially when it comes to your finances. So take the time to maintain, insure, plan, and save. Your future self will thank you. So we've taken quite a journey today, haven't we? We've delved into the unpredictable nature of life and how it can throw us a curveball when we least expect it. We've understood that while we can't predict every twist and turn life has to offer, we can surely prepare ourselves to face them. And that's where the emergency fund comes in. In our journey, we first learned about the concept of an emergency fund. It's not just a piggy bank or a spare change jar. It's a financial safety net designed to cover unexpected expenses that life throws our way. It's not for buying the latest smartphone or going on a shopping spree. It's there for the real emergencies, car repairs, medical expenses, or even job loss. We then delved into the steps to start creating this fund. It doesn't have to be an overwhelming task. Start small. Even a few dollars a week can add up over time. Open a separate savings account if you need to, and automate your savings. Remember, consistency is key here. After setting up the fund, we discussed how to grow it. It's not just about squirreling away money, it's about making that money work for you. Look into low-risk investment options. But remember, the aim is not to become a millionaire overnight. It's to have a safety net that can cushion the fall when life trips you up. Using your emergency fund was our next point of discussion. The rule of thumb is simple. Use it only for emergencies. Before dipping into your fund, ask yourself, is this a want or a need? If it's a need, go ahead. If it's a want, pause and reconsider. Once you've used your fund, it's important to rebuild it. Life doesn't stop throwing curveballs, so neither should your preparation. Start saving again, just like you did the first time. And before you know it, your safety net will be back in place. Finally, we shared some tips to prevent unexpected expenses. While we can't predict every scenario, we can certainly take steps to minimize their impact. Regular maintenance of your home and car, having a good health routine, and adequate insurance can go a long way in preventing unexpected expenses. Remember, life is full of surprises. But with an emergency fund, you can be ready for whatever comes your way. Here's to your financial security.